hope you can hear me clearly. My name is Ting-an Lin. I'm assistant professor in philosophy here at UConn. So I want to begin my talk by thanking everyone who helped organize this event and who come to this event to make this conversation possible. I also wanted to thank the Humanities Institute here at UConn to sponsor this project, to make this their generous support for this project. So as a philosopher, my work, the overarching theme of my work is to examine the impacts of social structure on different members in the society. And I'm hugely inspired by Iris Marion Young, a political philosopher, a feminist scholar, her understanding of social structure, which can be described as a kind of a background conditions that influence the kind of options presented in front of individuals and thereby shaping their actions. I think it would be appropriate to describe the current background conditions that we situate in as the socio-technical structure, which just to highlight the significance and influential role that technology has been playing in shaping the social structure, and together with dynamic interactions with many other elements in its structure, from the norms, the schemas, and some of the material conditions and the resource distributions. So in my work, I've been examining AI from this socio-technical perspective, by which I mean that we should recognize the design, deployment, and the governance of AI systems are situated in this broader socio-technical structure and have played a huge role in shaping that in both directions. In the past, over this past few years, I don't think I'm able to click it for now. I've been published a few work from this perspective, specifically examine the issue from algorithmic bias and fairness to democratizing AI. How do we make AI more democratic? And today in my talk, I also wanted to suggest that we can rethink about this notion of AI literacy from the socio-technical perspectives and suggest some insight can be drawn from there. So I think over the past few years, we can observe an increasing emphasis on the importance of AI literacy, which, as Arash mentioned, and I think I agree with that, I think AI literacy is super important. And however, the overarching question I wanted to ask, and especially as a philosopher, I want to ask, how is AI literacy currently understood? And whether there are any issues with the current dominant notions and approaches surrounding AI literacy. Here's what I want to argue. First, I'll argue that the dominant approaches to AI literacy tend to view AI systems as powerful technological tools. And the goal to teach AI literacy is understood as teach more people the kind of suitable skills to use these tools, maybe use it wisely, responsibly. I refer to this conception as the tech-focused AI literacy. I'll then raise some concerns about that and propose an alternative notions of AI literacy, which I call a socio-technical AI literacy, which will better recognize AI systems' socio-technical nature. So here's the definition of AI literacy that I drawn from the handbook recently published with the collaborative efforts by EU and OECD. So they define AI literacy as to represent the technical knowledge, durable skills, and future-ready attitudes required to thrive in a world influenced by AI. What enables learners to engage, create with, manage, and design AI, while at the same time critically evaluating its benefits, risk, and ethical implications. So I think it's a very nice definition and quite representative of what I wanted to code as the dominant tech-focused conception of AI literacy. So I think I take this as the general kind of narratives or rationale behind why AI literacy is important. The idea goes something like, AI systems are super powerful, right? It's a very helpful technological tools, and therefore we wanted to ensure that more people can have the suitable skills to use that. And so therefore, let's teach more people to use that. You teach them to use that in a better way, right? And some common motivations come from, as Arash also mentioned, about like the AI divide or global AI digital divide. Or another really common rationale is that we need to prepare students so that they can become more competitive on the job market, right? Both wanted to hire people who are AI literate. So at the same time, that we will observe some kind of practices, which I think is dominantly people understood AI literacy as like embrace this technology, to incorporate it into the classroom. And even people will suggest that if we not embrace that, it will be an opportunity missed. And then we see university also partnered with big tech to like introduce those tools and allow more students to use that. So I don't want to deny the value of that. I think this is important, as Rush also pointed out. If we just like leave that out, it can increase some kind of disparity. But at the same time, I want to raise some concern if we take this as the only notions or the primary notions of AI literacy. Here are just some other pictures that also reinforce this, why this is like tech focus, which we see from different universities. They put like kind of Bloom taxonomy, things like that. All right, I want to move to some of the concerns that I have if we treat this as the primary notions of AI literacy. The first is that it will tend to obscure the materiality of AI, right? As Crawford and Joller and many other scholars have emphasized, that currently people tend to, when people talk about AI, they treat it as some of the technical stuff, digital things in the cloud, which at the same time that this obscured that AI systems is also rely on important extractive processes, rely on the extractions of huge amount of natural resources, human labor, and data. So in a way, in the tech-focused AI literacy, when people teach AI and emphasize a lot on how we understand AI as like deep learning and how to interacting with algorithm, we risk to further obscure those material conditions. And at the same time, that obscure many of the related ethical issues that is happening in the background of AI system to allow the AI system to work, from the natural resources that's consumed to the many of the under-recognized labor behind AI, who is labeling, annotating those data, and many of the work doing the underground infrastructure thing, and that related layer exploited working conditions, as well as some of the issues, ethical issues surrounding AI that go beyond just bias or fairness, but also like how the current power of collecting and owning data, how is that concentrated in the elite few or the powerful few. The second concern I have about this notion, tech-focused AI literacy, is that it promotes a sense and ideology of techno-determinism, which is a mindset that treats technological development as something inevitable, right? As some of the headlines and the news suggest that artificial intelligence is complicated, but it's something like inevitable. So we need to embrace that, otherwise we will be risk just like left out or be like our job will be taken by someone else who know how to interact with AI. But those all contribute to a kind of AI hype, which is overexcitement surrounding AI. And I think that the ideology of a technological determinism is definitely worth critiquing, right? Technology does not just exist there as a given. How the technology is designed and which direction we want this technology to develop is something decided by human. And what is currently happening in our society is that those decisions is only made by a smaller group of people. And this relates to my third concern about this notion of AI literacy, which is that it works to reinforce the existing technocentric power imbalances. So again, the kind of rationale suggests that we need to teach students so that they are job ready. It doesn't really empower them, right? It creates another sense of fear, that they fear to be replaced, they fear to be left out. But this only serves to reinforce the current games of rule in the market, right? It's like the boss define who is a competent like a job candidate. And that is, and also when a university like partnered with those big tech, who gets benefits? It also reinforced, it allowed some of the companies to get their tools to be like have the broader adoptions, right? And that is why that there, as the podcast pointed out, is currently a race among those big tech trying to partnership with the university to own this AI literacy competition. So I hope that, again, I think the techno-focused AI literacy or some of the technological skills are important, but that should not be the only story or the only aspect that we focused when we think about AI literacy. So what would be the alternative? Recently, some scholars have urged to reflect on the dominant notions and suggest that, for example, we need to also consider when not to use that, or to expand the critical examination to the broader structural and political dimensions surrounding AI, usually under this label of critical AI literacy. I wanted to contribute to these conversations and propose what I prefer to call it a socio-technical conception of AI literacy. The important thing from this notion is that first it should understand, or we should better understand or recognize that AI systems are situated in and closely intertwined with many components in a socio-technical structure. And the goal of teaching AI literacy should go beyond just close the digital divide or allow students to get a good job, but also to empower them, to really empower them to examine what's the existing power dynamics that's embedded in our social structure, and also empower them to envision something different, to exercise their agency in shaping it. So I want to point out 3 directions that I think that this socio-technical notion of AI literacy differ from the dominant one. The first is when we teach students the nature of AI, we should go beyond the technical skills and technical components of artificial intelligence, but rather to enable a more comprehensive understanding of the socio-technical nature of AI systems, including its materiality and how it situates in its broader structure. So again, Crawford and Joler's work, The Anatomy of an AI System, I think it's very nice examples, and that should be included in a curriculum when we're thinking about how to teach students about AI, right? And their work can not only be found online, but it also presented as exhibitions that took place in many of the museums, that including at the New York MoMA. And I think it's a great way to draw the awareness of the general public to reflect on what's the nature of AI, that beyond that something just in the cloud. Another example I wanted to share is a work led down by We and AI, an NPO based in UK. They have this project, they run this project called the Better Images of AI. So they're pretty much concerned and aware of the a dominant image of AI. If you do a Google search, it will show you a series of message of robots or people, things in a human-like superintelligence, which again is obscure what AI really is. So We and AI collaborate with designers, artists, to create this different series of images that better represent and recognize the material conditions, including the natural resources used and also the labor that's behind the production of AI systems. If you go to their website, there are a gallery of all these images, which again I think is a wonderful resources for teaching this notion of AI. Furthermore, in terms of the content to be included in AI literacy and the goal of that, I think that we should also empower the individuals to better understand and examine what's the current power dynamics that we are situated in, right? So as scholar like Shoshana Zuboff quote, that we are currently in the digital economy, which she called a surveillance capitalism, where data is the new currency. And then we need to inform our students and the general public how that data is currently monitorized and how it's being collected, and why this kind of a power is only clustered in a handful of you, and how this current system that reinforces a form of algorithmic domination or colonialism. And lastly, by better understanding the current systems, we can empower individuals to think otherwise. We should empower them to envision alternative practices, from AI design to deployment, and also to governance. So a few scholars, the panelists also mentioned about we need different forms of a design as a participatory. And I think that we should also go beyond that to think about who are making the decisions surrounding AI. The current dominance, the current power of AI governance is clustered in a handful of few. But at the same time, that many people in the civil society in different parts of the world, including indigenous community, they're taking initiatives to do something different. And those should get more attention and should be included in our curriculum so that we can enable and empower people to think otherwise. So those are some of my preliminary thinking about this notion of different notion of AI literacy. And by sharing those thoughts with you, I hope this serves as an invitation for more of us to reflect and then explore further. Thank you so much.